Welcome to This Week in the NFL Week 18 edition. Get ready for the ultimate garbage.
I will now recap every game that wasn't important outside of seeding in one sentence. Seahawks grabbed the first seed as the 49ers really need to find some consistency before the playoffs start. Myles Garrett now holds the all-time record for most sacks in one season. It's the only thing that we Browns fans have these days. It turns out Jalen Hurts actually helped the Eagles team more than I thought he did. Tanner McKee couldn't really do much of anything. Somehow I feel like the Vikings will go to the playoffs next season. I just have a gut feeling in me. Well, at least a cool looking 60-yard field goal was the game winner in Travis Kelce's possible final game. Something tells me that the Broncos are going to be playoff exits in the semifinals only because they got the first seed in the AFC. Somehow. This game ended up being the absolute bludgeoning that I thought it would be, considering the Jaguars have a real shot to be in their first ever Super Bowl. Patriots-Chargers should be a very interesting matchup. The Patriots look pretty suspect, but the Chargers always charger it up. So, I guess we'll just have to see if the dynasty is really back. I'm honestly just as shocked as you that the Texans scored 38 points. And Indy, did you really have to drag Phillip Rivers with you in your train wreck? The Rams finally look like Super Bowl contenders again. It's very easy to do that when you play really bad and broken teams. Well, the Giants ended up ruining their chance at the number 1 pick, which means the Raiders have won the, quote, draft lottery, unquote. And something tells me they're going to draft Fernando Mendoza and not worry about their O-line at all. Bills-Jaguars, to me, is actually the most interesting AFC playoff game. Whoever wins that is pretty much instant Super Bowl favorites, as far as the AFC side goes. All I have to say about that is, buckle up. I'm going to solidify the point that I made earlier. If only you didn't get swept by the Minnesota Vikings. Now on to the very few games that actually mattered. In what was supposed to be the crown for the NFC South, the Buccaneers won a very ugly 16-14 game. Baker Mayfield was once a potential MVP candidate. Now he's on a completely floundering team with no direction and possibly no future. How the tables turn. But the Buccaneers still need one more thing to happen to actually win the NFC South. They just need the Saints to beat the Falcons and everything will be good to go for them. Wait, you trusted the Saints. I'm sorry, you can't have anything good. Get out of town, you bums. Also, Falcons, this could have been your division title had it not been for the infinite choking you've had this season. Maybe that's why you got rid of your coach, Raheem Morris, so fast. Tampa got eliminated in a game I literally slept through. Go figure. You may be laughing at the Colts, but this collapse was almost as bad. From 6-2 to out completely, I knew this team was a little fraudulent, but yeesh. Congratulations, Panthers. You've earned the NFC South title. Well, you certainly earned it a lot more than the Bucs have over these past few weeks. So I guess enjoy the dance while you can. You are going to get absolutely owned by the Rams. One more battle to determine the playoff on the AFC side of things. Winner gets first rounded by the Texans. Loser fires their coach. And this one actually turns out to be kind of a snooze fest for the first few quarters of the game. But then in the fourth quarter, the points start flying. The two teams trade touchdowns over the next 12 minutes. With under 3 minutes to go in the game, Lamar Jackson tosses a 64-yard touchdown to Zay Flowers. Where was this all season? Holy. But would that be game? Not even close. Old man Aaron Rodgers proves he has some juice in his arm still and tosses a 26-yard touchdown with 55 seconds to play to take the lead. Would that be game? Once again, not even close. The Ravens come up with two great special teams plays, a blocked extra point and a good kick return to set him up at around midfield. And on fourth down, Lamar Jackson throws another big pass to save the season. But would Tyler Loop actually make the field goal to put this thing in the bed? It turns out he would put this thing to bed. That is the Ravens season. I will say this though, it's not even close to the poor guy's fault. The Ravens season really should not have even come down to this in general. Hopefully this isn't the reason he doesn't get messed up mentally or something. Well, goodbye Ravens. You did not even close to deserve the playoffs. It turns out letting an unclutch quarterback play hero ball is not how you win football games. Who knew? How does Mike Tomlin keep getting away with this? I thought for sure the Steelers would have a losing record this year. Nope, turns out they're AFC North champions in an admittedly weak division. Get ready to get absolutely cremated by the Texans in the first round. And use his playoff berth to put off questions about the future. For now. And that will wrap up the 2025 NFL season and the fourth season that I've covered for this channel. This season was pretty tiring in general to cover, mostly because I've been going to college. But I have made it to the end. Now it's time for some playoff predictions. And I'm going to be honest, these playoffs are going to be very, very tough to predict. Nothing broke down as expected this year. Even a bunch of the mid-season takes didn't land super well. In fact, there are only two games that I can be absolutely confident on as far as next week's matchup goes. And that would be the Texans-Steelers game, the Monday Night Football game, that I 100% confidently can say that the Texans will win that one in probably a complete destruction of an effort. That's it. That's the only playoff game that I can say will break down that way with 100% confidence. Otherwise, the other 5 games are toss-ups. Man, these playoffs are going to be so good. As far as the NFC goes, I actually have the Bears winning it in a close one over the Packers, 17-14. The other 2 games are won by road teams, though. The Panthers, I think, will probably try to put up a furious rally in the fourth quarter to tie it up, but then Matthew Stafford leads a clutch drive down the field to give the Rams a win. As for the Eagles-Niners game, this may be a hot take, but I actually have the 49ers winning it in a big upset that sees the defending champions go down in one round. The AFC playoff games are even more difficult to predict. Jags-Bills is actually a pretty easy call to be a shootout, and yeah, not saying anything about that. I think the Jags will win 34-31 on a last-second field goal, but I can totally see either team winning it. And then, oh boy, Patriots-Chargers. That one's even tougher to predict, and possibly the toughest playoff game to predict of all. Nothing against you, Chargers. I actually think you beat the Patriots more times than not on the neutral field, but home field advantage just hits different in the NFL playoffs. Give me the Patriots 24-20. Speaking of the Chargers, we're now going to get into hypothetical playoff games. These will honestly be even more interesting to predict. Between the 4 home teams, I think the Seahawks will be the only ones to win, holding off San Francisco in a last-minute stand. The others get interesting. Matthew Stafford, I think, will throw 3 touchdowns on the Bears secondary and completely torch them, moving the Rams onto the NFC Championship. I don't really talk about this a lot, but the Texans are about the worst possible matchup for the Broncos. The Broncos are kind of built on defense, so they don't really have a trusted offense, and when you put a maybe just as good defense against them with a more trusted offense, it's gonna be really bad on the field for you. Denver goes number 1 and done in a strangely not that shocking upset. As far as Jags Patriots goes, I trust Jacksonville a lot more than New England. So I have the Jags moving on to the AFC Championship for an all AFC South matchup. Now, as for the AFC and NFC Championship, things are going to be super interesting when it comes to them. The NFC Championship is also a bad matchup for Seattle because they have to deal with the Rams wanting revenge. I imagine Los Angeles will actually finish this time around and punch their ticket to the Super Bowl. As for the AFC Championship and the real AFC South Championship, honestly, I think the Jags pull it out in a low-scoring battle, going to the Super Bowl for the very first time. The Texans will definitely give him a challenge, but lose on the final minutes. Now we get a rematch from London's big blowout from the Rams. And I don't really see much changing here. History repeats itself as the Rams win another Super Bowl for Los Angeles, with Matthew Stafford being the MVP for that game. In addition, with his possibly regular season MVP. But that's just how I see it. The NFL playoffs are very unpredictable, especially this year. And honestly, I don't really care who wins. I just want to see entertaining games. Off you go, you 14, and bring us some good games. Mostly so the NBA doesn't take you over in ratings. Well, that'll be all for this season. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, ring the bell, and don't forget about John 3:16. And I'll see you next time. John chapter 15, verses 3 and 4. You have already been pruned and purified by the message I have given you. Remain in me, and I will remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it is severed from the vine, and you cannot be fruitful unless you remain in me.